Hey, You Will Make It TV, followers, viewers, supporters, and listeners across the globe. Thank you for clicking on another insightfulness and inspirational topic here with the You Will Make It TV YouTube channel family. We appreciate your support. Please remember other fun and free ways you're able to support our channel here at You Will Make It TV with audio host Arthur Tedasheri. You can hit that like button, share button as well, or feel free to interact with us in the comments anytime we're live. Without further ado, I'm going to go straight into the topic today and why I feel like our commentary and reactions, especially to topics like this, do matter, okay? If you haven't already, we are encouraging you to become a subscriber. It's by clicking on the golden bell at the bottom of your screen, and this way you're notified of all future live topics as well. We do host our live stream topics nightly and weekly. If you're not interested into the live streams, you're welcome to go back and tune into previously recorded inspirational messages right in our short section. So we do appreciate your support. I'm here to shed light on, I wouldn't be the first broadcast, you guys. CNN, just some major platforms that have been more reporting on the pretty much genocide of Christians, if you will. Right there in, I think they said it's more prevalent in northern Nigeria at this time. Either way, it's just very unfortunate. Moved to emotions a little bit, because it's kind of hard not to be, just to look at it in modern day time, look at the realities of how far people are willing to go, just over your belief, over your spiritual or religious preferences. Okay, because to me, it's one thing to fall victim to violent crimes just because of what you believe, but it's another, to try to realistically intake the reality that there are children losing their lives too, just because of what their parents believe. We talk about that a lot, and You Will Make It TV anyway. The realities of how much more prevalent this is. What do you want, Mama? Okay, okay. I just think it's strange because a kid, they can't know what they believe, unless they're being raised into a certain cultural religious practice. And that's why, me personally, I know in the country I'm in, people might look at me funny when I say I'm a believer and that I love God and God loves me and that I love to read about the stories about Jesus. But I do not like being, even before I was seeing the news of this taking place in Nigeria, I just preferred not to be titled or um, put in the category of what they call a Christian. To be honest, I've never even seen that word in the Bible. Maybe discipleship, maybe apostles, maybe, these other titles that, give reverence to what kind of believer you are or how you follow Christ. But just the word Christian, to this day, I haven't seen it in the Bible. And it's crazy for people to call themselves like, oh yeah, I don't like Christians, or I don't believe they should live. Very, very strong positive prayers of protection and safety for the victims, especially those that have already lost their lives, the survivors there. Because what do they expect people to do? What, try to run away from their country or ask other countries to join the fight? Because, like, what are they trying to spark here? That's my question. World War III at the end of the day is supposed to be banged off behind religion. A lot of people always said religion was the number one cause to most wars, even in the past. Uh, what are you guys' opinion? I'm back, y'all. I had to take a pause break. My baby start whining a little bit, but I just think that this is a relevant topic, especially in days like today. I think overall today I'm just giving my commentary, reaction, and opinion to this issue, but overall, I do feel like people are more on edge. They've been on edge. And when you talk about Nigeria or different places in Africa, it's actually, I'm not going to say common, but it's like, it's not unheard of for these like random attack wars to start over religion. Do y'all know that? It's actually very much in the history, and this is people from the same place doing this to each other. It's always sad to see that, like when a certain body of people just turn on each other, regardless of what you are trying to tell me that you turned on your own people for. I just will never, ever, ever, ever understand it. Now, not when it comes down to you want to see them whole lifeless. You want to see their whole generation fall. You want to see their whole village fall just because of what they believe. I would say that when you live in certain environments and certain circumstances, that faith, does help some people to get through that. Like, it's so unhuman or inhumane to me to also, because some people, they might can't control their environment. They might can't come up with the proceeds, to change their circumstances or to get out of the country so they can have a better life. And once upon a time, there are other countries people would move to just to do that. Um, but now, just look at what's going on in the world. It's like country after country is banning more people from coming over there or banning people out of their countries. Why is my phone doing that? Hmm, this is interesting. It's like somebody's trying to call me, but it's not coming through or something. Hold on, y'all. If y'all hear the vibration though, please excuse that. I actually don't know why that's doing it. Give me 1 second. Somebody let me know in the chat. Oh, okay. It just stopped doing it for a second, for like 2 minutes, just a second ago. And the phone was just vibrating, but there was no call or text at all coming through. So that's never happened. But I'm paying just as close attention to the small details in between. Cause see, in a lot of the commentary sections of the videos that have tried to share coverage about this, you have people giving their open opinions saying, yeah, and everybody's turning a blind eye. Everybody's turning a blind eye. Nobody's doing anything about it. There are so many different circumstances. This is my response to comments like that. So many circumstances in third world countries that we don't even hear about every day, unless you're kind of like me or others, like you actually like world news. Like you don't just attend to the news in your nation or your specific geographical territory. You actually like to listen to world news. I'm like that for a reason. I've been like that for a while because it helped me not only as a humanitarian at heart, an impact at heart. It helped me to understand as a human that every day I think I'm going through something. I don't care where I am. There might be somebody on a whole nother side of the world going through something totally different. You know what I'm saying? And back to my response to that, they say that people have just been quiet. I'm not trying to be funny, but what do y'all expect people to say? Because real believers know that it's written in the book. In certain books, it's been prophesied right there in the Holy Bible. Signs of the times. That's what they describe it as, signs of the time. One of those signs was going to be people being persecuted for their beliefs in Christ. And I'm pretty sure we're aware of what it is when we see it. Uh, it's interesting to note that the ones that's leading this pact towards being against Christians in Nigeria supposedly are people who have a whole separate. It's different if you just tell me, oh, it's military soldiers coming in doing that, because there's a history that, like I said, in certain countries they'll rebel against their own people in a minute. It's just really sad to rebel against your own kind over something like religion. Like, is mankind not trying to evolve at all? We do not have time for that. There are clearly bigger global issues than what you feel like your neighbor believes in. But this is just my opinion. You see, nobody should be that concerned of what somebody practice or what they do, unless what they practice or what they do, you actually have evidence that it can harm somebody, that their beliefs and what they practice is actually harming somebody. You see what I'm saying? People blame the harm on the actual belief, because I don't want to be one of those people. I feel like your character is your character. Most people gain religion at the end of the day, what? To make them a better person, right? That's what the original foundation of any I know culture and generational practices have a lot to do with it too, but let's just talk about in modern day. Most people do not follow any type of religion unless they were looking for some type of change in their life. Does anybody feel me? That's why this is my opinion though. Like, who joins something? Because if you join it for any other reason than to edify your life, or that's why I don't feel like people should just interact with certain practices and religions just because it was a generational practice. I don't believe in it. If anything, I feel like people should follow the faith that makes them a better person. What do you mean? That makes them a better person. And clearly that's not what's been shown here. You got people trying to put whole categories of personalities and characteristics in the same box as what they believe in. Now, a bad person is a bad person, no matter what they believe in. I just like to look at life logically. You see? You saying you're a good Samaritan, you can say that all day long, but who else believes that, right? As long as you believe it, then you're a good Samaritan. The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. Let me not get into that yet though. What do y'all think causes people to rise up in so much hate and discord and division and violence just over what somebody believes? It's like so many leaders trying to break out at the same time with this totalitarian authorities, right? And I'm not going to say whether I believe in it or not. I'm just going to say that I don't feel like I can't even say the word, totalitarian authorities. I don't think, like, why would we suddenly just put it in place over what people believe? For some reason, I have this strong feeling that Nigeria is not going to be the only place that, not just because it was prophesied in the Holy Bible, Torah, whatever people want to call it, or because, like I said, it's just like more books that have actually predicted, you know what I'm saying, what they call quote unquote end time catastrophes, end time, what they say are going to be like signs of it. You don't have to be religious at all to believe that one day the world could quote unquote end, or that if we don't take care of our earth. You don't have to be religious at all to know that if you don't take care of anything, surely it's going to perish, right? Because you didn't put the time in, you know what I'm saying, to nurture it. To usually that is how it would go. That's why some people do put their faith in God. They know people have washed their hands with them. They know that their circumstances are not perfect. They know that their environments are dangerous and stuff like this. But then they going a step further and telling people, well, no, we just want you to suffer. You can't even believe in God either. Not saying that every area in Nigeria, that's another thing for educational purposes anyway. Not every place in Nigeria is like poverty stricken, and y'all know how that is. Just the image that they would show about Africa a lot is actually way more modernized. I don't know this firsthand from experiencing Africa myself yet. First, I know it from what I have researched and studied about Africa, though. You know what I mean? Not every place there is just full of poverty and hungry people and trashed up villages. Period. That's never been the truth. They've had very what's they call advanced societies and civilizations there over many generations now. So we can't keep blaming it on, oh, well, they're poverty stricken. That's why these things continue to happen. It's like, are we going to use that same narrative forever? Because even in America, you got your poverty stricken places, but that doesn't mean every place is poverty stricken. See, like in America, poverty is just considered low class or something. Poverty in America, your poverty is actually rich to what some people's real poverty is. Does that make sense, y'all? I'm gonna say it again. In certain countries, I just used America for example, but you being in quote unquote poverty is actually luxury compared to real poverty situations in third world countries. I've always looked at life that way. Somebody told me, you having a pair of shoes, a bike, and a prepaid cell phone here in America, you might be looked at as poor or low class. All you got is a bike. All you got is one cell phone. All you got is one pair of shoes. But you would be considered a lot more fortunate than somebody in real poverty. You see what I'm saying? In a third world country. Some of them, they haven't had access to a bike or a motor pad or a scooter. Right? In America, they'll judge you for riding something like that. I mean, that's just how people are. They claim, yeah, oh, that person must not have a car or gas or something. No, it's totally normal. People order electric scooters, wheelchairs, all that stuff every day, just for leisure sometimes, and sometimes, yeah, for medical reasons. But either way, I would say transportation is a blessing, and I'm just glad that seeing stories like this do keep me humble, period. Because I already knew people be persecuted for their faith. I've been known that. It don't matter what country you seek. Everybody is not just welcome with open arms and treated equal, though we have tried to get advanced laws involved to make sure these type of equalities are outstretched to everybody. It's just realistically, it hasn't been like that. It don't matter what law you change. If somebody walking around with hate in their heart towards a certain people or towards, you ain't even did nothing to them. It's just because of how you look. Think about the Holocaust. It's just who your bloodline was, and stuff like that. It's really sad, though. Just giving a moment of silence again, thinking about it. Because, like I said, there's no child under let's say 10 who just wake up and say, yep, I choose this religion today. No child, period. Most religions continue on in generations because you teach the children and you teach the children and then you teach the next children. And now you have a group of people who believe the same thing. Yes, I am pretty much from the country, though. Shout out to the chat tonight. I am country, if you will, or I was just raised in a more what they would say country state and country area of that state. And it's so crazy. No matter how far away I get from it, I cannot. It's like my accent hasn't changed yet. It's crazy how you can kind of hear that in somebody. But yes, guys, I don't believe that children ever just woke up, back to what I was saying, and decided like, yeah, I'm this religion. That's why in different households, they do things different. I decided with my children, if you become a believer, I want it to be real. I don't want it to be because I force you. Yeah, I'm going to teach you the teachings of, the foundations of what believers seek after or why they're called believers and what the people who believe in Christ actually have suffered from. Christ himself. Christ himself was hung on the whole cross and betrayed. He was betrayed just so they could get that done. You know what I mean? Imagine carrying on with your regular day-to-day activities and, I don't know, you're just being persecuted and attacked out of nowhere, literally slaughtered because of what somebody heard you believe. That's the first thing. I think they're just using it, honestly, as a reason to, commit these genocide crimes, in my opinion. because this is modern day time. So I want to look at it from a modern day perspective. Like, who really is still walking around with like whole hate in their heart? Like, I'm gonna say it right now. Me, for example, there might be some spiritual practices and religions people do every day that I don't agree with or I dislike, but I can't tell you that it puts a heart of rage inside of me for a person just because of what they believe. That just means I don't agree with it, or I can speak on my opinion, like, oh, I don't think that practice is right, or I don't think people should. I mean, that's as far as it should go. But when it's hate, though, when people come after you, slaughter you, persecute you, but it's right there in the Bible that real believers, they don't need a group of people saying whether they're real believers or not. It's going to show through the way they are persecuted. The accepted believers, I actually respect them, because do they know how blessed they are? When because not even Jesus was accepted every single place he went, every single town he came to try to help people and heal people. That's just the truth. He was not accepted in every place he went, not even Jesus Christ himself. And it's just really interesting. Yeah. Back to what I was saying, though, was like, that's where I do look at that. I try not to get too deep in titles, because if you notice, Jesus never put a title on his work. Like, he might have called it ministering or ministry, but he never, I never read where he was called Pastor Jesus or Teacher Jesus, or, I heard he had many nicknames or many, affiliates that might address him as certain things, but just a title. Even Jesus himself did not walk around with some type of title unless you were going to reverence him as who he was, as who he told you he was, which was a Messiah. What did they say? The King of the Jews, uh, the Son of God. He wasn't looking for any earthly title. You know what I mean? For reverence in what he did. And I could see years ago that was going to become a problem. Like, when I could understand things for myself, I saw what mankind seemed to do when it came to titles. So I was discussing it with somebody yesterday. It was just a revelation, like another download that came to me. Like, what is a title? When we think of title, we think of a book title, right? You've never seen a story that didn't have a title, pretty much, ever. Maybe even a subtitle, because it's the same way with individuals, right? Or I have never met a animal with a title. Anything close to it might have been like the lion, and his title might be king of the jungle. You see what I'm saying? But most animals, no, they're just addressed as what they are. Yeah, they're just addressed as what they are, and you know what an animal is just off of looking at it. But see, it just seemed to become dangerous, though. Like, just to put, I'm not gonna say titles are dangerous, but the way people use them in modern day time, yeah. Some titles, some people slapping a title on their work or on their name alone might make them a whole target. You was better off just introducing yourself as your name, depending on where you go, than to introduce yourself by your title. See, my title is not just, my name. I might have another title, mother. I might have another title, wife. I might have another title, cousin, sister. Those are just titles. And some of these titles people don't even ask for. You became that title because of the relation of that person to you, right? That's just how bloodline has always worked. And now, depending on who is born in a bloodline and when and who they were born by, you have now not only earned a title being the new baby in a family, but you give others titles just being born. See, now somebody's grandma, now somebody's grandpa, now somebody's dad, now somebody's mom. They just earn these titles, you know what I'm saying, through different ways. Most times titles, the last I checked into it and known about titles, they're earned. EARNED. They're earned and not just flaunted around or slapped on people's name for some type of, I don't know. I just feel like it's the judgment of God. And I do see him maybe stepping more out. It's just going to be more of a test, both a test and a test for some people and judgment for others. What I mean by judgment for others is, and I'm not referring to the Nigerians at all at this time, the Nigerian believers, but sometimes I just feel like titles can complicate things. I have talked about this on other streams here at You Will Make It TV because uh, you the only title we all had on the day we were born, unless you were born into some special bloodline, is the name that you're given the day that you're born. That's your title. Any other title you earn through their lifetime, the individual earns it, right? And see how they're using titles. Yeah, we're gonna slaughter Christians. That's why I'm like, don't call me a Christian. First of all, you can call me a believer. You don't have to put a title on it at all. When you see a lion, you just call it a lion because that's what it is. When you see a woman, you address that person as a woman because that's what you're looking at. That's what that is. And then when you add these extra titles, now you have a whole avenue to attack somebody because you added a title or you expected them to have some type of title to affiliate with their beliefs. And I've never really believed in it. Not now that I have my own mind to like think about things. I just don't believe in it. Go over there. To me, I don't know, titles just complicate things. I see where they're important, but I see how they're being abused. Anybody can call themselves something. You know what I'm saying? But I was just saying how naturally you never had to call something anything but the name that is originally given. If you see a young a minor is also a title. A child is also a title, right? But they get all like sensitive when somebody says Christian, and then it's like, oh yeah, well we wanna persecute those that, yep, if you call yourself that, we want to persecute you. But then look, if you say no, don't call me that, like I don't affiliate myself as that, then they look at you sideways like, well, you must not really be a believer. I just thought this was a interesting thing, and for sure, I wish those souls to rest in peace. I believe this: if you are persecuted and lose your life for being a believer, I know those souls are with God right now. I believe that. The Bible says to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. I believe it also says that pretty much we all return from whence we came. And some people just think that's referring to the ground or the dust. But I believe that it's referring to God. You know, who else is the judgment executor, or, that guide people to where they're supposed to go in the afterlife and stuff like this. Now, that's the difference between believers and what they believe, because it's crazy. You just didn't think you would see today that it's whole beef between Islamists, Muslims, and Christians. That's why I think it was Paul or Peter asked in the Bible, where in Christ are we divided? If people really say what they stand on and believe is about love and the straight and narrow path and living a better life, why is it in these same areas of religion it's the most war, it's the most damage, it's the most lies, it's the most hate? Not in the streets where the regular people live. And I'm going to mention it again. Those were the type of places Jesus would visit during his ministry, places that needed help, HELP. Because back then you probably didn't have so many ministries and advocates just and foundations that actually help people. Everybody was a little more self sufficient and independent back then. You know what I'm saying? Just talking about the BC days. What did I leave off saying, y'all? I keep having to take pause breaks for the kids, but it's okay. Uh, it's just like, where would it be so much division if the common cause was what everybody say? But like I was saying, let's think about the Bible days and the days of priests and Roman soldiers and Catholics everywhere. Okay, even then, I mean, I'm sorry, the truth is the truth. Like, if we say even Jesus bore persecution, and some people just say his only persecution was like on the cross. No, like Jesus was literally rejected as his mama was pregnant with him, looking for a place to have the baby somewhere. Uh, she was being rejected. People was closing doors on her. I believe Jesus knew rejection and persecution when it came to what he stood on, taught, and believed, uh, way before he was even hung on the cross. That's where people like, it's time to separate the weeds from the tares. No, God has never needed help with that. Like, it does that itself. Like, you just start to see who's really about it through situations like this too. That's why some people are saying, it's mighty funny that this is not more, I don't know, maybe like getting more coverage or getting more recognition about what's happening. It really is kind of strange. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's hidden because there are broadcasts that's reporting about it, but it's not like, I think that's because, in my opinion, every country is having their own internal battles right now, honestly. Is that an excuse to forget about your other humanly sisters and brothers on another side of the world? I don't think so, but it's really sad because like they still come on there doing interviews. I wouldn't say just like begging for help, but the point of them talking about what's going on over there is to make people aware. People swear that just because it's happening somewhere else, it have nothing to do with them. Do you know what awareness means? Awareness kind of more prepares you for, I would just say, for, if not the similar thing, uh, it just prepares you, and now you're more aware. Like, even if that's not happening where you stay or where the next person stay, yeah, but now you're aware it is possible. If it can happen in Nigeria, it can happen anywhere. And it had happened in places on this earth before. We're not talking about any other type of genocide, any other type, literally the type that people are literally killed and persecuted because of their beliefs. That is not new. Or because they would not surrender to, you know, a long time belief. Now, I'll never say, faith should disappear or good charity and good Samaritans. I feel like that's the more of those we have, the better. But maybe that's what God is busy doing, just turn down all of the faces of religion. Because, how you got all these different religions out here and still so much crime, still so much pain, still so much suffering. I'm not saying there's no benefit in religion, but that's a real question. Still so many hungry people, still so many jobless people, still so many people that feel like they're here, they're living this life, but they're living it, in many areas against their will. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's worse, being forced into a practice, a culture, or religion just because it was always generationally right, or actually being forced into it and then being killed for it later. Like, that doesn't make sense at all. You force them as children to come up and know these beliefs and know these things about whatever religion it could be. And then when they suffer persecution for it, then what? I would say that's between them and God, but it's just morally not right. You know what I'm saying? Because what else is going to lead you to whole slaughterings of people if hate was not already in your heart towards those people? Once again, I just think they use religion as a reason to not, I don't know, maybe feel guilty or something about what they're doing to people. But I think it's awful. Because I heard some of those victims, some of those 200 plus victims were children. And that's where I'm like, hold on. Wait a minute. Because a child never really chooses, like, oh, this is what I believe in today. Right? Usually they follow the ways and practices and teachings of what their parents raised them up in. And I just say, though they used to be morally right, most people agree, hey, children are off limits. For a long time, people have said this, just that children should be off limits. I don't care what it's about. But like I said, you got millions of religions out here and still so many people who don't feel like children are off limits. Something is wrong. These are not just gangs and street affiliates and mobs we're talking about anymore. These are like people really who just have a problem with believers, like problems with certain religions or spirituality, or maybe it is some type of envy or jealousy. Because, like, really, how does somebody reading their Bible, believe in Christ, hurt people? I was just wondering, how does that hurt people? Them trying to walk the life of righteousness, them trying to get as close to something holy than what they see in this world, then not doing it at all. How is that hurting people? Them wanting to they have a song that said, this little light of mine, I'ma let it shine. People should actually listen to the words of that song. Because when has light ever hurt somebody? They wouldn't even be able to commit these genocides without the light, literally. Without the sun shining, and the Bible says that the sun shines on both. This is how gracious God is. The sun shines on both the wicked and the good every day. It don't just say, hey, I'm gonna shine over here on the righteous. It shines its light forth in the skies for everybody. But people get a few weapons in their hands or a little power in their hands, and they quickly forget that. Like, she's right. The sun do shine every day for everybody. And I don't think it's for us to be inflicting pain on others or for us to try to go take even more power than that. There's no more power than that. If the sun don't shine, we're all in trouble, whether you're righteous or not. I'm so tired of them creating reasons of differences. You know what I mean? Differences. Like, okay, so because these differences exist, I'm actually one of those that appreciate the diversity of the world. You know, what would be fun about life if God had made us all exactly the same? And you still have these idiots who feel like, well, because we're different, we're going to take this one down and that one down and that one down. It just doesn't make sense, really, when you think about it. Y'all all still got the same members, 2 hands, 2 feet, a nose, eyes. We all bleed the same. We all feel pain. But it's like people will go to the depths to find what makes you different about them, which nobody asked them to do that, and then call themselves getting mad where they see that you're different from them. They're now mad at you. They now hate you. They now envy you. Now in Nigeria, they're actually persecuting people, like taking their lives. And I'm tired of people saying it, like, oh, it's because of how their government is, or it's because of the money problems out there. I don't think so. Like, that's a stupid reason to keep, I don't know, like war. People are just more on edge. If you ask me, they are already looking for reasons to go to war. If you ask me, you see it more and more every day. People just Ain't nobody just suddenly, oh, this happened to me. Now I want to go to war, because people have been overcoming and bearing pains and sufferings for many, many years. And just like, what make you go straight to want to go to war because of it? Come on, so you can. So I was just wondering what y'all opinions in the comments. Feel free to leave them. I probably won't elaborate on this topic as long as I wanted to, but I definitely hope I brought some great points and inspirational questions for us to think about as mankind. Now, in religious sectors, they usually refer to one another as brothers and sisters, and there's a reason why. Because at the end of the day, we all are the same. But that's like slapping God in the face, saying, no, I hate that you made everybody different. I hate that you gave everybody self will. I don't like that people get to choose who they want to be. That's what you're doing when you literally sit there and attack and persecute somebody for not doing what you want them to do, for them not looking like you. Like, come on, bro. You have to be possessed at that point. And the spirit of hatred leads people. You know, it does open that door. I just can't see myself like, oh yeah, I want to tear up my own country. I want to tear up my own village, my own community, uh, because I don't like somebody, or I think they're different from me. It's just always been unheard of. If anything, I knew that would take me a long way. Like, not just learning to coexist with in diverse populations, but also learning to love the gift of diversity. Because look how the devil uses it too when he wants to bring hate in the equation. It's almost like him slapping God in the face, like, well, I don't like that everybody's different. I would say you have a right to your opinion. You cannot like that everybody's different, but you will never be able to control that. That's crazy. To the end of time, people are going to be born their own selves, and every time a new baby is born, it's going to be different from the last one that was born. You understand? Some babies are born with birth defects, some aren't. Some babies are born with medical issues, some aren't. Either way, they all have to be cut from what they call an umbilical cord just to get into this world. So we're really not all that different, but I'm just showing people a new perception when it comes to maybe opening their hearts a little more to the gift. Look at diversity as a gift. Otherwise, the devil can manipulate you to hate somebody just because they're different, and it's awful. Different from who? Like, we all are. We're all different. I'm so tired of people looking at one person talking about their person's different. It really doesn't make sense, because we're all different. I wouldn't care if you're raised in the same household. That's why parents with multiple kids can tell you all their kids are not just alike just because they have the same mother, the same father, and were raised in the same household. If they were raised to all be just alike, it's not promised that they're going to be like that when they become adults. It's just like, it feel like you're speaking on like entry level issues, but it's really not. It needs to be spoke on more. This is You Will Make It TV. I'm more advocating and speaking up for those victims that lost their lives, because like, how many more have to until mankind actually accepts the gift of diversity? Or has mankind gotten so far and showed God so many times that they can't, that maybe God has taken his hand? He said, like how he can outstretch his hand and cover a place or cover a people, maybe he can also pull his hand back and he say, oh, well, y'all can't learn to appreciate the gift of diversity yet. Well, Don't come crying to me when it's a new world order and everybody has to believe in the same thing. Everybody has to use the same currency. Everybody has to speak the same language. Uh, everybody can only have a certain amount of kids. Everybody has a curfew. See, then people want to complain when when things get buckled down in that way. You know what I mean? When military soldiers have to step in just to, as a matter of fact, that is crazy. That's the kind of world we live in today. Like, military soldiers have had to step in, guys. Like, humans should really think about this. Your behavior as grown adults, no matter where you are, should never get that crazy to me that the military have to leave their bases and leave other stuff that they're doing and come into the cities just to try to help decrease crime. That's going on in a lot of countries right now, though, y'all. At the same time, at the same time, more leaders are saying, hey, we're tired of just trusting the small cities and the laws to make people act right. Hell, it seems like even religion can't do it. These people say they're believers. Some say they believe in this. Some say they believe in that. Either way, like I said, if religion was so positive at the end of the day, why has crime increased just since the pandemic? And I mean, all over the world. Y'all thought I was going to talk about a certain city or a certain area? No, all over the world. It's been proven. Divorce rates have increased. Abuse cases, whether it's child abuse, animal abuse, domestic violence, it doesn't matter. Violence in all together has increased just in the past 10 years, no matter what side of the world you look at. So I'm saying, what makes people get more comfortable with just, yeah, we're all ready to fight each other? That's crazy, bro. Yeah, we're ready to finally show our true colors, because God, to me, He see a person true colors from the day they was born to now. But whatever people be on, everybody's on this new wave of. I blame it on the internet a little bit, because the internet did kind of help. Social media kind of helped people to see diversity even more. Though we knew people were different, you can actually see it on videos and clips now at any second. I'm back, y'all. Sometimes I feel like some of these issues are supposed to be triggering. They know they're triggering when other people hear it in their country or state, because something like Christian, those are all over the world. Just like Muslims are, Islamists are, Buddhists are, Seven-Day Adventists, non-denominational religion, whatever religion, they're spread off all over the globe. Like, is this the entry point? Is this the beginning of them trying to shut down? At least people would still have their lives, though. If you just come out and tell people, hey, we passed the law, no more Christians. No, they got to go further and just like, nope, we're already slaughtering them. We're already persecuting them. We're already, and it's immorally wrong. It very much is. It's inhumane in every way when people cannot control to begin with what they are when they come out. They didn't choose their race. They didn't choose their religion. They didn't choose the household they're going home to. You know, and it's crazy that even in modern day time, people will hate you for things that you don't even control about your very being. You're just a being. There are parts of it that you can control, but it's like they be hating on those parts first. Like, I don't like that her eyes are brown. Like, okay. I don't like her religion. I don't like his style. This is where people are. I actually never thought I would see God expose insecurity on this level on the globe like I've been seeing it today. I believe we're all insecure about something. That's not what I mean. Like, it's the things that people are insecure about that are being exposed more and more every day. people of all ages. That's why you had suicide attempts and unalivings. There's been an increase with those too. Am I saying that people who commit suicide were insecure? I'm saying that in a way because, being as secure in yourself as you could be, you wouldn't even, emotions like depression and uh, loneliness, stuff like that. Certain sufferings could lead a person to that. Oh, definitely abuses. I just think it's so sad. Like, what did they expect the people to do? Stand up and say, like some comments were saying, hey, I don't see any marches or protests since this started happening in Nigeria. Well, there's definitely people standing up in Nigeria about it. Where they can, they are. And I know it's probably harder because they're right there actually witnessing what's going on. I was wondering too, do people just start doing stuff so they can get aid? They have to make it look, because we've gotten to a bad place if there has to be that much destruction going on before a place gets aid to begin with. Whole natural weather disasters, whole genocides, whole financial issues before a place gets the attention that it needs. I don't know. It's like people don't want to put the work in anymore when it comes to restoration or rebuilding. Maybe the people are tired, but I do notice that people just rather get to, nope, let's just come in and fully take over. If they can't get it right, I'm trying to have people to see that. Individuals, adults, if you can't get it right, I don't care which side of politics you're on, what you believe in. If too many people start getting hurt, too much crime is going on anywhere, you're kind of forcing leadership to come in and take over to where you don't have as many rights as you used to or freedoms, because what are the people doing with them? People getting so burnt out, boy. But I'm just saying, burnout is normal. Tired is normal. Your faith being broken a little is normal. Actually, we don't have enough preachers to talk about that. They want us to believe that, yep, if your faith is broken and you don't have any faith and you get weak sometimes, you're going to hell because you didn't trust God enough. When actually they should be teaching that it's actually very normal. I wouldn't say normal, but it's actually not uncommon for you to have a great testing of your faith. If you were a real believer, you know this. It's so crazy because I'm gonna be back with a few more topics. Like just in the past week, how many more, I guess, like religious leaders have been exposed. But I still say, why take that out on the people who chose to follow them? I don't know. Like, how are you gonna be mad or take out a persecution on people who followed a leader like that? Were they aware that the leader wasn't what they said they are, or what? I'm just trying to make sense of all of this. It's like, in our country, hey, you're innocent until proven guilty. But the laws and statutes and things like this are different depending on what part of the globe you're on. I am aware of this. But it's like, here in our country, you do have to be, it's so much more of a normalized topic now that people should actually watch who they affiliate with or watch who they call their friend, or even when it comes to family. It's actually being preached more than ever now today for some odd reason. Because all the unalivings we've been seeing lately, it was always somebody close. Somebody close had something to do with, when they get to the end of the investigation sometimes on these crime shows and stuff, it was always somebody that they thought they could trust. Why am I talking about this? Because I haven't found a religion yet where there's not some leader and people who are expected to follow the teachings of this leader. And then they call you untraditional if you still have your own beliefs, you still have your own faith, but you say, look, I'm just not with following like where I am in my faith. It's no disrespect to leaders or nothing like that, but you just rather not. Because see, anywhere that leader fall or that leader is not doing right or that leader is convicted or something, they kind of assume that the whole organization was involved, right? It's not like, no, 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 I was one of the real believers. Like, why would they believe that? If your leader is known for something else. They made that quote, the apple don't fall too far from the tree, but I don't think it should only be affiliated with family, okay? Any organization or affiliation or community, it still applies. The apple don't fall too far from the tree. When there's a leader, there's followers. That's all people need to know. When there's followers, there's real lives at stake. Not just the followers' lives, but the interactions and contact that the followers have with others. Their lives could be at stake for good reasons or bad reasons. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll be back with a part 2 soon. Remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe bell. And until next time.